Hello, guys. You're welcome to another interesting time on Ken and Kessa Daily Quest. It's been a very amazing week. It is a Saturday, a very special Saturday, all right? And I hope you've had a very fantastic week, okay? And of course, also have my partner and colleague, Kessa Gooden. Kessa, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ken. How are you?
I'm
And
fine.
I hope everyone is doing okay on today's Saturday with OKZ.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
We are dedicated to bring you Ken and Kessa Daily Quest every single day as much as we can, as often as we can. Now, I do want to apologize for any technical difficulties from the beginning and any loud noises and debris in the background. We do apologize. But because Ken and I are dedicated to bring you today's special, we have to show up no matter what. Now, today we're going to talk about overcoming abuse and trauma and also overcoming the foster care system in America. So go ahead, Ken, and go speak on the topic of trauma and abuse. How can one know that they're going through trauma or abuse?
Okay, thank you so much, Kessa, for that. And basically, on today's conversation, we're really talking about trauma because it's something that is usually faced by people across the world, especially young people, especially children, of course, kids. So I was traumatized at some point, especially when I lost my dad at age 17. That was a very difficult time for me as a boy. So, a trauma, I'll tell you what trauma is. For some persons that do not know what trauma is an emotional response to a terrible event like an accident, rape, or natural disaster. That is what a trauma is. And it's something that no one prays for, but like life is full of ups and downs. It just happens. It's a contingent event. You don't plan for it, and it happens. But when it happens, how do you handle it? How do you cope with it? How do you manage it? That's the very big question. What do you think, Tessa?
Well, Ken, first of all, I would like to say my condolences to you losing your dad at 17. It mustn't, it wasn't easy. I'm pretty sure that you lost your dad at 17. I believe that trauma is happening to all of us every single day, whether it's a death in the family, but there's even more trauma that is happening to us, mental trauma, physical trauma that is happening to us and our youth out there and our children out there, whether it's abuse by family member or close relatives or friends. And most of the time we're not aware of that. We're not aware that these abuse are taking place in our homes. Our children are who has been like molested, raped, or even physically abused. We are so inundated with information that we are not seeing what's happening with our children that's right in front of us and right in front of our home. So I would say that trauma is something that when it happens, if one don't heal from it, if one don't try to use God and heal through that, they will not be able to be functioning at their full capacity. Back to you, Ken.
Yes, you said something that really got to me, which is the abuse, and we must address that. If that's what we can do here today, I'll be very happy because abuse has been prevalent in our society, not just in Africa or Nigeria, but across the world. And it ranges from, child abuse to sexual abuse, molestation, and all of that. And the best question, how does this affect the life of a young child, of a kid, of someone that is trying to grow, to understand life? How does that person cope when he or she gets to experience all of this? Trust me, it has a very negative impact on the life of that young person. So today, as we're talking, not just to young persons, but to you, everyone across the world, on the need to actually stop abuse. All right. If you're doing that now, I'm urging you to stop. And if you're actually being abused right now, don't think life is over. No, life is not over. It's gonna be okay. All right, it's gonna be okay. That's why we are talking to you right now. Believe God, believe in yourself, and because it's gonna be very, very okay. So, abuse is something that has been very, very talked about widely across the world, and I hope that today we lend our voices to see how we can address abuse, especially as it affects young children.
Yes, and for the young boys out there and the young girls out there who are being abused, I want to tell you, you have a safe space to speak up. Speak up and tell someone close to you if you're being abused. I know the social stigma is like we should feel ashamed of being abused or stuff, but it's not our fault. And once we understand that it's not our fault, then we will be able to speak up. You can actually speak up and actually lend a voice out there for others who are going through the same thing. So make sure you don't feel shame, but feel encouraged in speaking up. So that's the topic for the abuse right now. Now we're going to transition into, wait, first a minute. Ken, do you have anything else to add for the topic of abuse before we go into the foster care system and how it is over here?
Yes, basically, what I just want to talk about is just the abuse in just a sentence or two. Now, you said something about speaking up, but young persons that are being abused, they are so scared of what will happen when they speak up. Okay, and I'm also urging them to not be afraid of maybe the abuser, because most times the abuser gets to threaten them and all of that, and put in that fear or phobia, and that affects them psychologically. Kessa has said that today that you have to speak up. Yes, speak up, and not just speak, but speak to the right people.
Have you always wanted to start your own business? Your own nonprofit? Are you a closet entrepreneur? Well, Kessa Gooden can help you set up everything from your 501c status in less than 90 days. Help with business taxes and back taxes. She's your personal business assistant. So contact her today at www.camfinancialsgroup.com. That's KAM Financialsgroup.com.
Yes, definitely speak up and feel encouraged, because the trauma that it's going to create for you to keep it in your mind for you, the rest of your life, is not going to be good. So it's better you speak up and face the consequences of whatever it is. And I guarantee you it won't be a consequence. It will be victory, because once you speak up on that, you are opening your voice. You're using your voice for yourself, and you're using your voice for those who have been abused. Now, I want to touch a very, very sensitive topic with the foster care system. And the reason why I want to touch on the foster care system, because at least 90% of the children that goes into the foster care system here in America ends up in jail, prison, abuse, or even end up in the human trafficking system. The human trafficking. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. We have a system that is set up to take our children away from us and said that they're helping us. But what's really going on behind the scene is worse than helping us. It's actually a mechanism that's designed to break the family, break the home. They're not trying to care for the children. They're not trying to help the kids, but they're trying to break the home. Now, how can we stand together as people to help our family members who are going through similar situation? We can stand together by supporting our families. There are children that are going through this situation, because once they end up in the foster care system, they are created. There is a lot of trauma that is created in the psyche of the children that ends up in the foster care system. And before they age out of foster care system, they end up dead on the street, homeless, on drugs, and also addicted to all different kind of alcohol or any form of addiction you could think about. See, the foster care system is set up to break the family, but it's also set up to break that person. And I wanted to speak on that because I want to lend a voice for those who don't speak on it, and those who are scared to talk about it, especially with the 90% rate of human trafficking that is going on in the foster care system. They take your children from your home and they put your children into human trafficking. See, when we are setting up these systems and when we are following these systems, we don't know what's really going on behind closed door. But make sure you guys are aware that this is what's actually going on. Ken, any input on the foster care system?
Yes, in Africa or in Nigeria, we don't really have what they call that foster care system. But the truth or the reality is that lots of kids get to live without the guidance of their parents, all right? Because most times the level of poverty is really high. You did talk about statistics. Let me rule out a few. 82.9 million Nigerians live in poverty. That is what the National Bureau of Statistics has said about poverty. And poverty is one of the reasons why we see children don't get a better life, don't get parental guardians and protection provision from their parents. Now, in the northern part of Nigeria, mainly dominated by the Muslims, they have what they call the Amajiri system, where they send children out there to beg, and they're out of school. Those children are out of school. And there was a latest report also saying that these children, most of them, don't have a life because all through childhood, all they know how to do is beg, and they don't have access to quality education, no access to better life, no access to good childhood. And that kind of child grows up and sees life from a very different perspective. So, from this particular part of the world, from Nigeria, I want to say that it's hard time that not just the government, but the people, everyone is actually responsible to actually make sure that every child is given the right to quality life. All right, every child is given, yes, every child is given the right to quality life, education, good treatment, and should be exposed to the best things of life, because they say that the youth are the future leaders of tomorrow. But I don't agree with that, because I think the future is now. So, in as much as in Nigeria, no foster care, but children are faced with negligence from parents and guardians, even sometimes when we have the issue of orphans being maltreated even by their relatives. I'll paint a very crystal picture. I've seen a story where someone lost his father and mother, and he went to live with his uncle, and his uncle had to maltreat him. Even his uncle's wife was really very, very hard on him, and that affected him psychologically. That actually did not allow him go through certain things in life. And there are thousands of them in Nigeria, in Africa, as we speak.
Yes, and speaking on that perspective, that's when a child is actually being neglected and being abused. But there are many cases here in America, more than anywhere else, that the child is not actually being abused and not actually being neglected, but yet they're taken away from the home to put into human trafficking and sex slave. That is part of the American I won't say culture, but the American system in the foster care system. I personally have experienced the foster care system myself. Being in foster care when I was the age of 16 years old, I had to emancipate myself to get out of the foster care system because I saw how it is and how it was running from the back end. Now, as an adult and with a mom with a child, I've actually experienced losing my kids to the foster care system, and I can see how that they are working and how they do their business. Basically, if the child, if there's any concern for the child's safety, of course, I agree with that. Take the child and protect the child. But if there's no safety for the child, any concern for the child's safety, I would say that part of the system needs to be shut down, because it's not fair to the child to be created in so much trauma and so much drama, as a young child, to be going through this system in the foster care system. So that's what I have to say about the foster care system today. If you or your family member are going through anything with the foster care system, know that there is a way out and there's a way to deal with it while keep being successful and not being broken. Because I understand when you lose your child or a family member or someone that you love and care about, what that makes you want to do is turn to things that is destructive and turn to things that wants to make you stop being successful. The best way to beat the system is to cheat the system by being the best version of yourself and not be part of the system. So when you are able to work on yourself still going forward and still be the best version of yourself, that will show the system that they are liars and that they're cheats, and they basically need to be shut down. So that's what I have to say about the foster care system. Now, Ken, we're wrapping up right now. We're close to 15 minutes and we got to wrap up. So anything you have to say before we sign off?
Yes, on the conclusive note, I'd like to say a few things to people that are actually traumatized and on the need on how to overcome trauma. The first thing is give yourself time. Sometimes it will take months, it will take years, but give yourself time, because time, they say, heal the wound. Yes, that thing might have happened. You can't change the fact that it has happened, but what you can do is give yourself time and know that yes, that happened, but you can actually you can actually overcome it by forgetting about it. I know it's not easy. You just have to give yourself time and know that as time progresses, as you focus your mindset, your activity towards positive things, it will actually heal. And also another thing is get busy. Yes, get busy. Yes, one of the things that people forget is when you're traumatized, if you're alone, if you're idle, it will worsen. So I'm talking to that traumatized person right now, emotionally or psychologically traumatized, or even physically. What you're gonna have to do is get a routine, get busy with something, be productive, okay? Be a person of impact, and of course, you will actually come out of that trauma, whatever it is called. I think that's my own bit for today's conversation.
Yes. And also make sure you guys get help or get therapy if you need help and therapy when it comes to being traumatized. My name is Kessa Gooden. Tomorrow is my birthday, so I'll be celebrating with you guys worldwide. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Ken and Kessa Daily Quest, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, so Kessa, happy birthday to you in advance and age with grace. All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Ken.
much. Yeah, so we'll come your way tomorrow. Stay safe, stay happy, and enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.
Have you always wanted to start your own business, your own nonprofit? Are you a closet entrepreneur? Well, Kessa Gooden can help you set up everything from your 501c status in less than 90 days. Help with business taxes and back taxes. She's your personal business assistant. So contact her today at www.camfinancialsgroup.com. That's KAM Financialsgroup.com.